Hey buddy, watch this.
Hello, hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Heroes of the Storm is the game, and this is my first look at the brand new hero, Alarak. I'm going into this one almost totally blind. I haven't been playing Heroes quite as much, and I don't even know what Alarak is about, but this is the public test round. He's about to hit the server soon, so I need to jump in and see what's up with this hero so that I am ready to play him in the live version of the game very soon. So, first things first, Alarak is a melee assassin. Looks like he's got a reasonable health pool in line with a number of other melee assassins like Thrall, so he's got some cool stuff to work with there. As far as his trait is concerned, it's called Sadism. He's quite sadistic apparently, and Alarak deals 100% more ability damage versus enemy heroes. So all of his abilities, as soon as they do twice as much damage against heroes as minions, and based on this bar, I'm guessing that's going to be a variable thing. So probably depending upon some talents or abilities, that 100% will change. So you can probably manipulate to some extent where this bar is at to see how hard you hit heroes. And as a melee assassin, hitting heroes is most certainly going to be core to Alarak's gameplay style. So, all that said, let's go ahead and jump into his abilities to see what these bad boys do. First off, we have his Q. It's called Discord Strike, 60 mana, 8-second cooldowns, pretty middle-of-the-road cooldown. After a half a second delay, enemies in front of Alarak take 384 damage and are silenced for 1.5 seconds. That's insane. Let's turn cooldowns on here, or off, I should say. So yeah, it's kind of tough to hit. You got to be pretty close range, and there is a delay. So if you're not like right on top of somebody, this is the kind of ability that can definitely dodge, right? Because just imagine that Alarak's trying to hit you with this. You're going to be able to sidestep it, right? If you see that loading animation coming up, there are going to be instances where if you're paying attention and know what's going on, you'll certainly be able to sidestep or perhaps even range it at some point. And unless he's right up in your grill, look how thin the area of effect is there at the end of that triangle. Being able to sidestep that is going to be relatively trivial. Of course, your circle, your character's hitbox is always the circle under your feet, so you'll have to get the whole circle out of this, which, you know, it's not going to be incredibly easy, but fairly easy, I would say. Obviously, this is going to be on the other end of the things, a pretty high skill cap ability. It's going to be difficult to know when to time it and get in position for it as an Alarak player. So, interesting ability, but if you do land it, the damage isn't anything crazy, but the silence effect is pretty strong. 1.5 second silence means they're not using escape abilities, they're not returning punishing damage in revenge. They're not healing if you get it on a healer. So 1.5 second silence is really strong effect every 8 seconds. And theoretically, you can hit multiple people, right? If somehow you're able to get a couple people in line while they're trying to escape through a gate. And that can make a very big difference. So really, really interesting Q here. So let's move on to W. This is Telekinesis. 12-second cooldown, a little longer. Create a force, pushing yourself and all enemies hit from the targeted point towards the targeted direction. Deals 105 damage to enemies. So I have no idea what on earth that means. Oh, cool, you draw a line. Wow, so it's like a vector aiming. Really cool. That's something we haven't seen in Heroes yet. I haven't played a lot of other MOBAs, so I don't know if this is common in other MOBAs, but you can vector aim it. And you don't actually have to draw the full line unless you want to be more precise. You can just barely... I'm not sure how this works on Quick Cast, by the way. I have Quick Cast turned off. I don't even have on release on, so I'm not... Whoa! It moves me too, that's right. Yeah, it says it moves me and anyone in it, so... So it's kind of a... Wow, this is a really cool ability. First off, it looks sick. Like, the animation is so cool. The like triangles moving out. And on that note, actually, to back up, Alarak looks amazing. I didn't finish the Wings of Liberty campaign or not Wings of Liberty, I mean Legacy of the Void campaign in Starcraft 2. So I'm not super familiar with Alarak as a character, but he looks awesome. Armor looks good. The big, cord, I forget what it's called, looks good. He's just a cool looking character. Anyway, back to this ability. What a cool ability. Super high skill cap. It's going to reward good players a lot. Because look, what can you do with this, right? First off, you can move yourself. It's like a dash. And you can use that to move yourself into a fight or out of a fight, right? It's an escape, it's a dodge, but it also helps you gain ground on someone. And you can even do it while running, and, you know, if you're good, not break your momentum, right? So, cool little ground gaining ability on offense and a dodge / escape on defense, but also just a crowd control, an influencer. Because, you know, if there's a Thrall over here, you want to push him back, push him back. If there's a Jaina, you want to push closer to your team, push her closer to your team. And the vector aiming is so precise. You can do anything. You can put it anywhere you want and move them any direction you want. That is sick. You know, there are a lot of other abilities in the game that don't have vector aiming at all. Like something like Zul's ultimate comes to mind, his heroic where he places the ghosts on the ground. In that case, or actually Tassadar's Force Wall as well. In that case, they always just go in a line whichever direction you're facing, right? Like if you're facing this way, his skeletons will just go in a straight line down, right? They'll just go like this. Crap, they'll just go like this, right? And if you're facing this way, they'll go like that. If you're facing this way, they'll go like that. Same thing with Tassadar's Force Wall. But this is a cool little vector design. You could do the same thing with Tassadar's Force Wall or Zul's skeletons. You could face this way and decide you want them to go at a diagonal angle, or you could be facing that way and decide you want to go to a diagonal angle here. So a lot more precision. Very cool. This is a fantastically designed ability, well executed, and I think it's going to be strong in the game. It's just good crowd control and has a lot of flexibility. As long as the player is conscious and aware of how to use this ability, they're going to do some cool stuff. And then finally, his E is Lightning Surge. Has a 6-second cooldown, so pretty short cooldown. It deals 197 damage to an enemy and all enemies between you and the target. Okay, let me read that again while I'm actually thinking. Deals 197 damage to an enemy and all enemies between you and the target. So you pick a point, and it draws a line from that point to yourself, and it does a damage to everybody in that line. And 75% of that damage is actually returned as health. So this is his sustain, as most kind of brawler melee assassins have a little bit of sustain. So let's go ahead and turn on... oops, not what I wanted. I want to turn on minions. I heard there's some new stuff in try mode, much like the boss down here. So I was going to play around with that, but we'll save that for later. So yeah, we can pick this minion perhaps. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong ability. I'm done. Yeah, so I picked the minion, and there's just an instant cast line in between me and everything it hits. You'll see that blue laser there. So that's pretty cool. You can pick a backline target and hit it by itself if you want. You can just hit the Arthas, just hit the wall, just hit the minion. So it's kind of got a single target aspect. But if there's stuff in a line, like minions, you can just hit it all. And remember, it's going to hit Arthas twice as hard as it hits these minions. You can see that 395 popping up versus the 197 for everybody else. That's our trait in effect. So it's actually not a bad little, just every 6 seconds a little pop, you know, just a little ping of damage. And the Q, of course, one thing I didn't talk about when we looked at it, it's 384, but on a hero that's actually 800 damage with this current buff we have. So that's really strong. An 800 damage hit is actually quite significant. 767, yeah, so a silence and a really strong hit. Get wrecked, Arthas. Alright, so wow, that's another really cool ability. One of the niftiest basic ability kits in the game, I think I've seen so far, honestly. All of these abilities are high skill cap, require a lot of precision and reaction time and just critical play, like good high level play. And they have a ton of finesse to them, and they're high impact as well. The E is I guess, not high impact as far as like crowd control or winning team fights, but it still does meet those other criteria. But both the Q and the W can have a lot of extra utility, which is pretty cool. I haven't actually looked at Alarak's basic attack damage. We should certainly do that. See how hard he hits. 307, that's more than enough. So pretty hard hits at level 20. Alright, so we've seen the basic abilities. Let's go ahead and jump into the talents and see how these talents line up with one of the coolest kits in the game. Up first, without effort, telekinesis no longer costs mana. Okay, so just a little resource manager there. It's only 30 mana now, and it's got a 12-second cooldown, so that's really not going to save you that much mana in the long run. But and I don't actually suspect he'll be a mana challenged hero. Honestly, the costs aren't that excessive, and the cooldowns aren't so short that he'll be using these often. It doesn't make sense to me that without effort is good. There's also applied force, reduces the damage bonus of Sadism by 10%. But telekinesis pushes 20% further. Alright, so if you really like crowd control, you can pick that talent. We dropped to 90, as I guessed. But we do move a lot farther, which is pretty cool. So your escape gets better, your dodge gets better. And by the way, you can control this even with your hero. Like, if you don't want to move the full distance, you can leave, like, the end of it at Alarak, and he won't barely move, it looks like, right? Like... yeah, he barely moved that time, so even more finesse there. Anyway, this makes it push a lot farther, which is great for pulling heroes into you and great for making an escape and perhaps trolling. No, you can't troll allies, it seems. There's only yourself and all enemies. So you cannot troll your allies by pushing them around, which would be pretty funny. But anyway, add some utility. It's not the worst talent I've ever seen. Giving up the damage could hurt, but I can envision an Alarak that's more of like a utility assassin, right? Almost like a, you know how Tassadar is sort of a pseudo support slash specialist. Like he's almost like a specialist that kind of helps his teammates. Maybe that could be Alarak as well, like a melee assassin who's not just about damage, but about facilitating team fights and controlling and influencing the enemy team negatively. There's also Power Conduit, reduces the mana cost of Lightning Surge by 15. Another just mana reduction here. That one might add up faster just because this is a slightly more expensive ability at 40 mana, and it has a much shorter cooldown. So if you're spamming this a lot, you could burn through your mana. Power Conduit could help you there. There's also Wide Lightning, increases the width of the beam of lightning by 50%. I like that. That's that's simple, and it doesn't have a downside. For a little bit of extra damage, it probably looks like you'd be better at wave clear because that beam was pretty thin, and this could allow you to hit more stuff. I think the real problem with Lightning Surge though is that the range, I guess it's actually pretty long. That's enough to hit a backline target if you're beating on a tank. So I guess actually the range is fine. So maybe this is a decent talent, but I kind of like Applied Force. I really like the utility that it provides. So let's go ahead and move on to the level 4 talents. There's Double Cross. Increase the range of Discord Strike by 25%. Remember, that's your Q. It also hits in a line perpendicular to the forward strike. Oh, cool. So you make like a little sword shape, right? So here's the range right now. Let's get a kind of visual indicator on where that range is. We're finishing right at the triangle here, or the intersection of those stones right now. So let's pick Double Cross, and we went to almost the full extra width of this stone here, right? So doesn't seem like much, but remember that when you increase the length of a triangle like this, you're technically also increasing the total area of the total square area of the triangle, so it's actually taking up more space on the ground. So it's not just about range, it's also technically about width a little bit. So it helps. Plus, if you see here, it shoots out some little side triangles as well, which is cool. It would definitely be easier to hit people and harder to dodge if you're right up in somebody's face. You kind of have to go diagonally. Players will learn to avoid this. Talent is the only problem. Like, they'll learn to play around it just a little bit. But it just adds more opportunities to hit, which will make it much more consistent. So, not bad. There's also Reckless Strike. Reduces the delay of Discord Strike by 1/4 of a second. But if it hits an enemy, you become vulnerable, causing Alarak to take 25% more damage for 2 seconds. So remember, this has a half-second delay. This reduces that delay by 50%. So it casts a little faster, makes it easier to hit, harder to dodge. But you're kind of punished when it succeeds, and you become vulnerable. So I don't know. I don't think the idea of making yourself vulnerable is all that appealing. Maybe the right composition with a good tank or healer. But normally, I don't think I'd like that. I think people are going to be able to hit it enough with a half-second delay that this is a pretty big punishment for a very, very small upside. There's also Cycle of Discord, reduces the cooldown of Discord Strike by 2 seconds. Remember, right now it's 8 seconds, so pretty significant discount. If Discord Strike hits no enemies, the mana cost is refunded, and the cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds. I like that a lot. That's pretty cool. You're rewarded for failure, which is sometimes nice, right? You're not going to hit it every time. Really good players may not like this, but average to below average players could get a lot of utility out of here. And honestly, even good players could use it, because a 2 second cooldown reduction is pretty big. A 25% reduction. That means you're going to get to use this a lot, and it hits fairly hard against heroes, and the silence is powerful. So Cycle of Discord seems very, very strong to me. I think that's the talent I will probably end up picking here. But there's also Extended Lightning, increases Lightning Surge's range by 20%. So that was one thing I was sort of concerned about. This does get better with range, obviously, because there's just more space that the laser line will cover, making it more likely to hit stuff. Plus, you can just poke people from really far away. Kind of like Thrall's Lightning, actually. This could have a similar impact. It's, you know, Thrall's Lightning obviously hits multiple targets, which is nice. Always hits multiple targets, which is nice, as long as there's something in a cluster. This would not necessarily do that, because it's more of a skill shot than Thrall's Lightning in many ways. The first target is obviously guaranteed, but every other target is a skill shot, unlike Thrall. But anyway, it's really good at poking long-range targets, which can be nice. I wouldn't be totally stunned to see Extended Lightning picked up by some people, but I think Cycle of Discord is perhaps too strong to pass up. Moving on to level 7, there is first Chaos Reigns, a quest talent. Each time Discord Strike hits a hero, its damage is increased by 3, up to 45. And after you hit 15 heroes, increases damage by an additional 45. So it takes 15 successful hits to get up high. I did that math, even though it literally says it right there. And that's a 90 damage boost, which is a 180 damage boost against heroes. Which, you know, it's not nothing, but it's not the most impactful thing ever. Every 6 seconds you get, or perhaps even every 8 seconds, you get an extra 180 damage. It's not game-breaking by any means, so it doesn't feel that strong to me. There's also Endless Energy. Heroes hit between you and the victim of Lightning Surge, apparently. It doesn't say that right away, but that's the icon. Heroes hit between you and the victim permanently decreases the cooldown of Lightning Surge by 0.2 seconds up to 2 seconds. So if you hit somebody over here and somebody's in the beam, that's going to reduce your cooldown, and it can go all the way down to 4-second cooldown. So it'll just be a poke machine, just poking away, firing laser beams left and right. That seems alright. I don't know for sure how easy that's going to be to accomplish, though. It seems like hitting heroes with that could be sort of tough. It just depends on how often you're fighting around minions and towers and other targets that you can hit far away and somebody's in between. I'm not sure this will be that easy to pull off, and the upside's probably not all that strong either. So neither of those seem that great. There's also Thunderstruck. Reduces the damage bonus of Sadism by 10%, but Lightning Surge slows enemies hit between you and the victim by 70% for 1.5 seconds. Huh. That 70% slow is nuts. That's a really deep slow. Like, that's practically not moving, right? It's so slow that it trivializes their movement. The problem, of course, is that it's sort of hard to hit people with that, I think. Because, right, it's just geometry, right? If there's a guy standing here, more than likely the other guy's going to be, like, right here, which is not a line, right? People don't always line up. Yeah, you could move down here and line them up, but did this guy move over here now? And did this guy move over here? Like, you're never going to be able to totally get people in a line. Of course, you can cast it on towers or mercenaries, right? And find ways to sneak people in between to some extent. So it's certainly possible. Particularly if they're like trying to run through a gate or something, you can line it up and get the slow and perhaps secure the kill. So this is a possibility. It provides more control. The other downside, though, is, of course, you go down to 80%, which is kind of a big deal. I don't think you want to go too far down. So I'm kind of stuck here. I guess my instincts say to go with Thunderstruck, but who knows? I like crowd control a lot, so that's part of it. Alright, so now for his heroics. I literally don't even know what these do. Up first is Deadly Charge. Has a 60 mana cost, a 45-second cooldown, so those are both pretty low. After channeling, Alarak charges forward, dealing 439 damage to all enemies in the path. Distance is increased based on the amount of time channeled, up to 1.6 seconds. Issuing a move order, this is the longest tooltip, by the way. Issuing a move order while this is channeling will cancel it at no cost. Taking damage will interrupt the channeling. Does that mean it is lost? Let's try this bad boy, right? Okay, so pretty long range. Oh, I see. So it's just like a Gazlo laser. And I guess I can just hold it up forever waiting. Oh, you teleport through stuff. Didn't know that. Guys, we didn't know that. I'm gonna die. Oh, he died in try mode. So you do teleport through stuff. That's pretty cool. It looked really neat. I don't know that the damage is all that significant, though. It's going to be good at, like, securing kills. So what do we do from over here? And we take damage in the middle, right? Oh, so it doesn't... Oh, wait, cooldowns is off. Let's try it again with cooldowns on. Yeah, so it doesn't actually waste your... If the channel is canceled, you don't lose the cooldown. It's just ready to go again. So that makes it slightly better. Sometimes you won't even need to use this all the way, right? Sometimes the guy you want to hit with it will just be right in front of you, which is cool. So I guess it will hit heroes for 840, right? Which is... It's not bad. It's pretty good. They will be good at securing kills. I don't hate it. It's pretty neat looking ability. There's also Counter Strike. 50 mana, 30-second cooldown, so really short. Alarak becomes protected and channels for 1 second. If an enemy hero attacks Alarak during that time, Alarak sends a shockwave forward that deals 548 damage. This might be hard to pull off. Who do we want to pick, guys? This is cool. This is new. Probably wasting time here, but let's, I like this. This is really nice. Let's just pick Thrall since we've talked about him a few times.
So goes the
I guess we still have to... Whoa, what's happening? Enemy hero change. We probably still have to turn on minions to summon him. Okay, here he is. So, we actually need to wipe our talents too, don't we? Take Counter Strike. Okay, so how does this work? Well, that's what the... I guess that's what the shockwave looks like, right? Hit me, bro. Nope. Wow. Okay, that's gonna be tough to use. Everybody but super high level pros is gonna have trouble with this. It's wow, okay, so it's kind of an ice block or a, you know, any sort of stasis effect where you don't take damage, which is nice, but the duration's pretty short, and the reward is 1100 damage in a very specific cone, and you can't spin it once you once you're protected. You can't change that direction, so you're gonna have to line it up, take the damage, and then shoot out a wave. We can probably see this on the towers, actually, just see the animation and stuff. Oh no, it has to be an enemy hero hitting you, so that doesn't even do it. Yeah, I don't know. This seems, outside of really high, super high level play, I just don't think this is going to be very good. It's going to be too hard for people to pull off. The timing on the protection is just so short. Like, you can see the channel there. It's for 1 second, right? So you have to be very precise. It does match the other high skill cap abilities, but I think most of us will have to pass on Counter-Strike and go for the more obvious Deadly Charge. Okay. Up next is the talent Dissonance. Reduces the damage bonus of Sadism by 10%, but increases Discord Strike's silence duration by 0.75 seconds. That might actually be worth it, right? Silence is so powerful in Heroes of the Storm that I think that would be a 2.25 second silence. That's pretty good. As long as you're able to reliably hit your Qs, that feels very nice. It does move you more towards utility than raw damage because your meter goes down, but I kind of like this one. There's also Psychokinesis, increased the damage of telekinesis by 100%. I didn't even realize it did damage. Yeah, it deals 105 damage, so 200 damage to enemies when you hit them with this. That would take it up 100%, which would be 420 total damage. It's enough. That's not actually bad, setting up kills by pushing people back and stuff. It's a reasonable choice. I'm not sure that it's better than the silence, but not a bad talent at a surface level. There's also hindered motion, reduces the damage bonus for Sadism by 10%. Telekinesis slows enemies by 40% for 1.5 seconds. I like it. Another crowd control talent. That seems pretty good too. You're going to be knocking back a lot of enemies with this. I think that's going to be the primary way to use this. By the way, when you're casting this, it looks like it has to start at the edge of the circle, or he'll walk forward. Just a little to cast, right? So you got to be pretty careful about that if you don't want to wait. Anyway, I like this too. It feels pretty good. Slows are strong. It's already a crowd control ability, so it's kind of crowd control and crowd control. Like push somebody back, it makes it harder for them to get away. Setting up kills for your team, perhaps quite nicely. There's also Pure Malice, a passive ability. When a nearby ally hero dies, your Sadism bonus is increased by 8%, stacking up to 40%. This bonus Sadism cannot be consumed by Hasty Bargain and is lost on death. I don't know what Hasty Bargain is yet. Probably a later talent choice. Yeah. This seems bad. It's only good when your team is dead. And Alarak does not seem like the kind of hero like Artanis, for instance, who can like survive through those scenarios and like whittle down an enemy team that in a close team fight in which a hero on your side dies. So I don't think this would be pretty cool on Artanis if his like survivability or damage went up when allied hero dies, to give him that like last chance fight that Artanis has always seemed to like just stick around and finish people off. It'd make that much better. But for Alarak, I just don't like it. It's only good when your team is losing. And even then, it's probably not good enough to make the difference in a losing fight. So 8% is just not much, right? Even if it goes up to 40% if... Oh, I guess it lasts forever, though. Yeah, it lasts forever. That actually changes it a little bit. Changes it a little bit. That makes it better. I was thinking it was like a temporary buff, but it lasts forever. So it goes up to 40%. No, it's lost on death. Oh, it doesn't last forever. So... Still, so it's kind of like an old Gathering Power stack, right? It's similar to that, except it's allied heroes dying instead of enemy heroes dying. So I still don't really like it. Although a 40% bonus to Sadism, remember, is actually an 80% buff to your damage because you're doubling all that damage. So, oh no, it's not. No, it's not. Never mind. A 40% buff to Sadism is a 40% buff to your damage. That's just what it is. So not that strong. I think I like Dissonance and Hindered Motion better for their utility than I like Pure Malice for its raw damage output. So I'll take Hindered Motion. Moving on to 16, there's Quick Mind, reduces the damage bonus of Sadism by 10% and the cooldown of Telekinesis by 6 seconds. I like that. It's more utility again. It's a 6-second cooldown after this. It's 12 to 6. So very often you'll get to push people back, which seems really good. Or push yourself forward, of course. So that seems really good. There's also Projected Force. Reduce the damage bonus of Sadism by 10%, but increase the range of Telekinesis by 25%. So I guess that will make it castable farther out, like somewhere around probably around here, something like that. I don't know that that's quite as good. Because, when you're pushing people back, the reason is because your team is all here and they're in range of killing that person, right? If they're really far away, being able to reach them farther away, it doesn't make your team any closer. So, I think that this, as cool as it sounds at a surface level, is probably just not worth it in practice and in function, because your team has to be sort of close to capitalize on the knockback anyway. So, I think this one's a pass. There's also sustaining power. Increase the healing you receive from dealing damage to heroes with lightning surge by 30%. Remember, this heals when it hits people. 75% is returned as health. So apparently this takes up to 100% of the damage done. So it would heal for 400 when you hit somebody, which is pretty cool. 400 is not nothing. That's 10% heal every time. It's good, actually. With the poke, the cooldown, there are some... Oops, not what I meant to do. There are some talents that affect that cooldown as well, I think. So there might be some ways to like turn into sort of a sustain healer type guy. It's a possibility, which could theoretically make Pure Malice better as well, if you're able to stay alive and capitalize on teammate deaths in a short period of time. There's also negatively charged. Increases the damage dealt to enemies hit by the center beam of lightning surge. I didn't even notice that there was a center beam versus an outer beam. Where is the outer beam? I don't really... I mean, there's a red beam. What does that mean? I'm gonna see if this changes the look. I didn't change the look any. Does this talk about an inner beam? Oh, it just means the beam itself. It just means instead of the end point, it means the beam. It's just weird how it says center beam. I thought there was another line running in the middle, but there's not. So they take twice as much damage, but the healing would stay the same. So you'd only still heal for 400, but they'd actually take 800 damage. Well, that's a big hit, but again, I actually think that's going to be really hard to catch people in that line. I just don't think there's that many scenarios in practice where you hit targets. I don't really like negatively charged. I think here I like Quick Mind the best. That cooldown reduction could be really good. Moving on to level 20, there's upgrade to Counter Strike. Channel for 1 second and become protected. Same thing. If an enemy hero attacked you, send a shockwave that deals 548 damage. I do not... Oh, that's right. He can actually pick 2 heroics. So we've already picked Counter-Strike, so he can also get... Oh, crap. Not what I wanted. Not what I wanted.
Choose a talent.
He can also take... So now we've taken Counter-Strike. He can also take Deadly Charge. So you actually get both, right? You get an R, and then your D becomes your other ability. Your other heroic. So... if you want, everybody can take Counter-Strike, but I still don't think it's going to be good. I have to believe that these last 2 talents are better. Up first, there's Last Laugh, 20-second cooldown, active talent. Activate to remove all root slows and damage over time effects. And teleport to a chosen location. Activating a Last Laugh will immediately reduce Alarak's health to 1. That's pretty cool. We got to see this.
A curious choice.
So how does this work? So you lose... It's basically a get-out-of-jail-free card, right? It removes all damage over time effects. You're not going to die from a dot once you teleport. And you know, if you're over here fighting and you got to get away, you can teleport here. Your health goes down to 1, and you've made it out successfully. Oh my god! Oh, but you don't attack. You don't attack the Siege Giants there. You keep moving.
I agree with this decision.
Huh? It's not worse. It's like a Bolt of the Storm, but kind of a super Bolt of the Storm that has some longer range, which is nice, right? And it's not directional. So in other words, you can be running this way and teleport this way, and I'm not sure your opponents will know. Although it looked as if perhaps there was a trail left. Yeah, did you notice that trail? Watch the trail. There's going to be a trail here that points the direction. Yeah, it always points the direction. So actually, it may be hard to juke if your opponent knows what's going on and looks for that trail. It's a pretty good thing to note if perhaps an Alarak chooses this. I don't know that it will be popular, but what an intriguing talent. It's really cool. Another high skill cap ability. Doesn't necessarily have offensive utility like Bolt of the Storm, though, I will say. Bolt of the Storm, you know, you can use to catch up to somebody and kill them. That would be a very, 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 very risky proposition with this talent, because you'd put yourself at 1 health. Unless you literally got 1 shot on them and they didn't have a chance to attack, you'd probably be dead. There's also Hasty Bargain, 20-second cooldown. Activate to permanently reduce your Sadism bonus by 4% and reset the cooldowns of your basic abilities. Does it go down by 4% every time it stacks? That is intriguing. That is super intriguing. We gotta see this, right?
Yes, I like it.
So we're at 90%. We activate it. We go to 86. Actually, let's use some stuff first, and then we gotta turn cooldowns here though. Let's use our stuff. Okay, now we went down to 82, but we immediately get them back. That's actually intriguing. So, wow. So it's it's got a 20-second cooldown, so you can't use all your abilities in one fight to just like win the game, right? It's but once per like big team fight or big moment, you can cast Hasty Bargain, wipe your abilities, get to use them all again. But it punishes you permanently, right? That 4% is gone forever. So your damage goes down every time you do it. And that's why it's called Hasty Bargain, right? Like you're making a bargain that in the moment seems really good, but you get punished for eventually down the road. That is such an interesting mechanic. Really cool. I think it's actually viable too. I think being able to use all three of these abilities in one big moment is going to be worth it. Because sometimes, it's just like getting a reset, getting a rewind, as you would call it in this game, on your abilities like that can win a team fight, which can just win the game, right? It just exposes the core, game's over. You don't care about the downside, so... even if it fails, it's like, oh, I went from 90 to 86. It's like, I'm still going to be useful. It's only in those like games that drag on forever that it's going to be punishing, and I don't think that's going to happen. By the time you're level 20, by the time you've had enough instances to use this, the game is going to naturally end. You're never going to lose more than like 15, 20, 25% bonus here. I noticed those weren't multiples of 4. I should have said 16, 20, 24% bonus from Hasty Bargain in any sort of normal scenario, right? Most games don't go to level 27 and aren't 45 minutes. That's the only time Hasty Bargain would really start to punish you. So I think the chance to heavily impact a single moment, like a really important swing fight, big objective fight, I think that's going to be worth it for Hasty Bargain, and I think it's perhaps even better than his last laugh. So I kind of like Hasty Bargain. I don't know. Another very high skill cap ability. So all that said, I don't really have a build recommendation. I didn't see any themes coming through other than perhaps sort of a utility build that's more about crowd control and battlefield influence than direct damage. So I might think about that as a build, but I'm not going to make a specific recommendation here in this video. Mostly just wanted to get my first look at Alarak, share my initial thoughts and perspective on the hero with you guys, and maybe open up some insights you hadn't yet thought about with these talents and these abilities. And I think that goal has been accomplished. So all that said, that's going to wrap it up for me and my first impressions of the brand new hero, Alarak. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on.